Well, I'm Sarah Hodgkins, as Georgina's already said. My company is Charlotte Designs, and so I'm a mural artist. I paint very large-scale pieces of art directly onto walls, ceilings, floors, very much like this here. I do this mainly for businesses, so people who want to either have something very beautiful on their wall for people to, go and take their selfies in front of, or who want to just stand out from the crowd and provide an interesting interior or exterior. And I do a lot of work for people like restaurants, pubs, leisure places. So I do children's play areas, play barns, play farms, those sorts of places, as well as sort of offices. And in fact, I've got a big quote out there at the moment for an ironmongery warehouse of all places. So it really is very, very varied. I do homes as well, a lot of schools and care homes, as well as using art as a way of bringing people together through workshops. Not online so far. I've only done that in person, but who knows? Watch this space.
Wow, I've actually seen some of your work in some of the schools and obviously the buildings that you've done, and they are truly amazing, Sarah. You've got a real skill there. So we're talking art and technology, and as we've already said, I'm a little bit, what's the connection and how that comes up? Do you want to talk a little bit about that? I know we've sort of discussed a little bit, but do you want to say about?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I actually consider myself a technophobe. I'll be completely honest, and I'm going to put that out there. I don't find it easy. I don't find it natural. I am an artist, and I'm much happier with a pencil in my hand than I am a mouse. But I could not run my business without technology. My business simply wouldn't exist without it. Right from, the CRM and the finance packages that I use to actually run the back end of my business, through to my website and my social media for marketing my business, right through to, I use packages like Photoshop, where I scan pictures of my murals and actually put them onto the walls that they're going to end up on, so that the customer can actually see what they're going to look like before a pot of paint is even opened. So it really helps then my customer to understand what that mural is going to look like and make any changes before we, get into start of spending money. So, it really is very varied, and the landscape is changing all the time, and the way that people buy is changing all the time. And in fact, I had a conversation yesterday with somebody whereby we were talking about how, you perhaps don't even need a website anymore. You can just put your artwork onto Instagram, and you can use, it's called Big Cartel, I think. You can actually use an app to just basically be the payment. So you don't even need a website anymore. I mean, it's absolutely incredible when you think about it, that you can do this without a website. So it's a very, without technology, I just simply wouldn't be able to do my job. And I've had to learn it. So it's been a big learning curve for me. Some bits I love and some bits I absolutely hate.
So International Women's Day is, the theme this year is Choose to Challenge. And I love the fact that you've brought up that you don't like technology, but it is a very big part of your business. And
Absolutely.
we underestimate our skills an awful lot. And you've got unique sort of niche experience, especially when it comes to refining the size of pictures to go on your website. I know you had that problem a little while ago, because you had this huge gallery you wanted to show people, and you wanted to obviously have to look at the speed of how your pictures were appearing, etc. So we gain this niche of knowledge, and I think we underestimate a lot of what we know. And like you say, it's been a huge learning curve, but I'm sure you're a lot more ahead than what some people are, than what you think as well. So I do want to bring that out there.
No. And I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. And I'm the first person to probably underestimate how much I know. But I would say I've learned an awful lot. I built the last website that I have. So my current one I built myself. So the previous 3, I think I had built for me. But my web designer, I've given her so much work over the years and recommended her to so many people, she couldn't fit me in. So we came to an agreement where she was there to support me, and I actually built the website myself. And actually, I quite enjoyed it. If I'm brutally honest, I quite enjoyed it. Because there is a creative side to that. There's no point in having a website that performs technically if it looks awful and no one wants to spend any time on it. So a website is a perfect example of where art and technology come together, because you need something that looks good as well as performs technologically. So I did actually quite enjoy that, apart from the picture sizing. But that's a good example. I think that's a very good example where I probably have more than the average person's knowledge there, purely because of that reason.
And we've spoke previously about STEAM, and I don't know if many of people have heard of it before, but do we want to talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, you know, there's been a lot of talk about STEM recently, and I actually get quite cross with that, because art is just as important as any kind of technical or engineering or mathematical subject. And if you talk to any top scientist or mathematician, and I know a few, they will say that the creative element is actually really, really important. Because unless you have a creative brain, unless that part of your brain is well developed and functioning well, you can't think outside of the box and you can't think creatively. And that is just as important in science and engineering as it is in art. But I suppose flipping that around, I am very interested in how the arts are not reliant on technology. That's the wrong thing to say. I mean, they are, I guess, to an extent, but how art can be pushed by technology. So if I think about, my daughter is a photographer. She is a very gifted photographer, it has to be said. So she is using, different lights. She's understanding how much light needs to come in to create the effect that she wants. She is using different lenses and understanding how all of those things work, which is completely over my head, by the way. She is finding different ways of pushing her art through her understanding of the technology that's available. And I do see this a lot with some of the people that she follows on Instagram, who I end up following as well. And I'm really interested in that. My son, on the other hand, is very much interested in, I actually thought he was going to go into sort of CGI at one point. I'm not sure he will now, but to see what can be created on a computer is actually quite astounding. I actually find it mind-blowing. Some of the games that he plays, the quality of art in those games is extraordinary. And I think gaming has really pushed the art world into a different place, which I find very exciting. And I think if I was young now, that is definitely something that I would be pursuing and going into, because I do find it really, really interesting. But I've got my niche now and I'm quite happy. So I think that the lines between engineering and art are very blurred now, and one needs the other. There's no point in having a computer game that works fantastically if it looks awful, because no one will want to buy it, no one will want to use it. So, we've said that about websites as well. If you think of CGI in films, you only have to look at the Marvel films or the Harry Potter films or the Lord of the Rings films. The CGI in those films is extraordinary, and you cannot deny that it is beautiful, that it is artistically fantastic, but it's technology. It's that meld of art and technology, and I find that really exciting, if I'm honest, really exciting. So yeah, I just think it's no longer one or the other. I think the things are blurred, which is why it should be STEAM and not STEM. So well done, Georgina.
I can see the passion coming through, as far as, and this is the thing that I really want to have as a theme, that the passion of what you're into can be enhanced with technology.
Whether you are a mathematician or an engineer or an artist, to think creatively. You know, this country is built on creative businesses. That's who we're famous for. You know, J.K. Rowling, Shakespeare, you know, Vivienne Westwood. Don't get you. It's just full of creative people. You only have to look at Brunel's Bridges to see that he was an artist. And I think, you know, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind he was an artist, because his bridges are beautiful. And they're not just built to be structurally strong, they are built to be beautiful to look at as well. I now have one of these, a little stylus pen, and I now draw and paint using my PC. I have a Microsoft Surface, and I can actually paint on my computer. And that's where, you know, that for me is a whole new area of technology, and one that I'm getting better at. You know, I still have learning to do, but it's something that is actually quite helpful to me. So learning that is I think very useful for anybody coming into any kind of artistic career. And I think from my point of view, just understand what technologies are needed in your area, because it really does depend what you do. You know, the technologies my daughter uses, for instance, for her photography are quite different from the ones that I use for my art. So it's understanding what is out there that can help you, not just to run your artistic business, but to push the boundaries of the art that you are producing. And everyone's path to places is completely different. And I think kids are told that, you know, you have to go down this path, and life just isn't like that. You know, there are very, very few people that know what they want to do when they're a child, end up doing it and do it for the rest of their lives. It just doesn't happen. It's so rare. You end up going around a long convoluted path to end up in a certain place. And that path and the skills that you gain from your journey are what makes you and able to do that job to the effect that you can.